All right. Well, welcome everyone to our information session. This is our school psychology program at Florida International University. Welcome everyone. We're very excited to share information about our program and whether school psychology is the right career path for you. So my name is Andy Pham. You might have received emails from me. I am the program director and I also coordinate our field experiences in our program. We'll have introductions, so I will point or call out a person, one of my colleagues, and they'll introduce themselves. So we'll start with our faculty, Dr. Shale Griffith. Want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Shale Griffith. I'm an assistant professor in the school psych program. I am a clinical psychologist by training, but I've been with the school psychology program now for 5 years or going on 5 years. And I teach a lot of the assessment courses for our students, and I'm also involved in research that our students get involved in as well. Welcome, and I hope you learn a lot today.
Great. Sarah Castro-Olivo?
Thank you. Thank you everyone for your interest in the program. I'm Sara Castro Olivo. This is my 18th year as a school psych professor, but first year at FIU. So I am really happy to be part of the partner family now. And I am known, or my research mainly focuses on culturally responsive social, emotional, and behavioral interventions for immigrant families in particular. And I am right now I'm teaching classes related to the issues in school psychology, consultation, and also will be hopefully soon we'll be teaching bilingual psychological assessment. But welcome and thank you for the interest in the program.
Thanks, Sarah. We're also joined by one of our graduate assistants, Kendall. Introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, I'm Kendall. Most of you probably have heard from me, just sending out reminders, or maybe we met at SciCon. But I'm the graduate assistant. So if you guys choose to apply, I'll be one of your main contacts, and just kind of help you along the journey. I'm a current graduate student in the counselor education program. So just went through this application process a little over like about 2 years ago now. So I'm here for anything you guys might need on this process.
Thanks, Kendall. And also, I would love Dr. Tiberio Garza to introduce himself.
Hello, hi everyone. You can hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes, so my name is Tabiro Garza. I'm the department chair of our department, and my background is educational psychology, but I'm always here and happy to help anybody.
Thanks, Tiberio. You're welcome to also introduce yourselves in the chat. Feel free to ask questions, but if you want to share a little bit about who you are, where you're from, what program, major, why you're interested in school psychology, feel free to write anything in the chat and we'll also monitor and answer questions throughout. So we'll otherwise start. So as we go through this evening's outline of this session, obviously we've done introductions, but again, feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. We'll talk a little bit about what does a school psychologist do. We'll also talk a little bit about the difference between a school psychologist as well as school counselor in particular, as well as other psychology fields. We'll share some information about our coursework, field experiences, and some research opportunities as well in our program. And also admissions. I think maybe a lot of you are probably interested in knowing more about our admissions timeline and also our requirements. We'll also share a little bit about financial supports in the program, as well as I think we'll have one of our current students join us. She's probably coming back from practicum, but she will likely be able to answer questions about her experiences or anything that you're interested about from the student perspective. So hopefully she'll join us a little bit later this evening. Okay, well, the first question, obviously, what does a school psychologist do? Any thoughts? You're welcome to write in the chat, brainstorm together, and we'll definitely talk about it. What is a school psychologist? You're welcome to raise your hand too if you want to talk about it. Okay, Erica says evaluation personnel. All right. Assess students and create education plans from Brianna. Oh, I like your participation. Great. Unique. Say my, okay, great. Thanks for introducing yourself. Okay, awesome. Any other ideas? What does a school psychologist do? So assess students, evaluate. What do we assess them on, do you think, or evaluate them for? Well, I think one, Brianna mentioned education plan. So students might be assessed or might be asked to be assessed for, okay, some intellectual level behavioral issues. All right. So pretty much try to support a student in their school setting. So whatever needs that they may have, whether academically, behaviorally, social emotionally, Nick mentioned, okay, great. So assessing maybe potential learning disabilities. So if they're maybe struggling in school, we could examine or assess whether there's a potential disability. Great. Yep, and we work with students and school staff. So another part of it is we work with teachers, we work with parents, we provide consultation and support. We talk to them about just gathering a little bit more information and also in ways we provide some suggestions to help the student either at home or in the classroom. Good. Great. I really like, again, the participation. Array, but mainly IQ. Okay, intelligence, behavior, right. So, but yes, a part of our role is assessment. So as the audience mentions about intellectual. We look at academics and behavior, but it's also important that we use that information to inform whether it's an education plan, services, interventions, maybe how do we work with teachers in terms of maybe better classroom instruction. So there's a purpose for the assessment, right? So it's not just that we assess or test and then that's it, but we're using this information for a purpose, right? And mostly is to provide support for the student in their educational setting or at their home. And so we do a lot in terms of supporting students. And so generally, and you could probably see some overlap with other school mental health professionals like counselors. One of our goals is to promote positive learning and mental health development. So not just academically, but emotionally. We also, as part of assessment or testing, we also screen. So screening meaning we look at information for all students in all classrooms just to get a baseline of how they're doing overall and also to determine whether they need extra support. As we mentioned, we also consult and collaborate with parents and teachers. Sometimes we can't really work with every student, but if we can work with parents and teachers, they are mostly the ones providing more of the support in their setting. We also do evaluations, program planning. We also talked about doing interventions. This could be at the school level or classroom level, and also at the individual level when we do, like maybe some of you are familiar with behavioral intervention plans. And also we're part of a crisis intervention team. Great. All right, so we talked a little bit about what we do. What do you think is the difference between a school psychologist and school counselor? I think some of you have kind of addressed this, but what do you think would be the difference? Do school counselors do assessments or evaluation? Not formal. Okay, that's true. School psychology work with a wider range of students, yes. Historically, school psychologists tend to work with students who may be at risk for disability, but our role has evolved to work with all students, so that's true. But yeah, Erica's response, yes, I think that's true too. School counselors can do, I think, certain types, but it's not the same as what we prepare our graduate students as school psychologists. So school psychologists assess a wider range of issues while school counselors do not perform. Good. Okay, great. Yeah, school counselors may not necessarily be the evaluator in terms of determining a disability, for example, but they can contribute in the team by providing information about social emotional or how they're doing academically. So this is just a chart. You can see just some of the differences. Yes, there's quite a bit of overlap, and part of our program, we do have courses that overlap with school counseling. But you could see part of how we conceptualize our roles that we identify issues that prohibit success. We also do work with students who are exceptionally bright, and so oftentimes they may need an individualized support in terms of nourishing or encouraging their skills. But we do work with a variety of students, not just those who maybe are struggling. We are more involved with the psychoed evaluations, as I think a lot of you have talked about different assessments. Um, we are involved in IEPs or individualized education plans in collaboration with teachers, as we talked about. In terms of settings, so yes, a lot of our school psychologists do work in schools. There are a few, very small percentage that can have worked in clinical settings. But some would require like a doctoral degree if you're working in those settings. School counselors mainly work in schools. You can also see the requirements, academic requirements are a bit different. So we offer the education specialist degree, which is which is the minimum requirement to be a school psychologist. So it is considered to be like a postmaster's, even though we don't offer a master's in our program. The salary, I would just say a caveat. This is just based on what is posted on our national website. So it will vary depending where you are. I can sort of give you a general range if you're interested in Miami area, but it will vary a lot depending on experience, location, school, need, things like that. I did see Dr. Pelaez join us. Dr. Pelaez, you want to introduce yourself? Well, feel free to interrupt Dr. Pillay. So she's also one of our faculty. So I just noticed she joined us. But yes, for
Can you
oh,
hear me?
yes. Go
Oh,
ahead.
I just wanted to thank you and I'm thank you for understanding that today, as I told you, I wasn't going to be able to join, but I was very eager to meet all the students that at least capture their image and say hello through Zoom. Um, Many of you know, and some of you don't, that I am a professor in in the school psychology program in the College of Education, and I mainly teach child development courses and do research with very young children, basically investigating social learning phenomena. And I'm very happy to be here, and I don't want to interrupt anymore. So thank you, Dr. Pham, and everyone. Hi.
Thanks, Dr. Pelias. And I will share with our faculty, feel free to interrupt or chime in. So thank you for joining. All right. So let's see. I mentioned, yeah, in terms of different settings, and this is also a mix of those with the specialists as well as doctoral, but you could see a majority do work in school settings. We don't offer a doctoral degree, unfortunately. We are currently working on it, but there are more opportunities in terms of if you have a doctorate in school psychology, often they work, as faculty in school psych programs, preparing future school psychologists or working in clinical or hospital settings or community settings. So you can see that. Um, all right. In terms of job outlook, there's plenty of jobs in Florida and across the country. There is a national, local, statewide shortage. So you'll definitely get a job if you've done well in our program and internship. You're always guaranteed a job. So at least 95% of our graduates do obtain a job within a month to 2 months after graduating. 5% do pursue advanced graduate study or doctoral study. So if students want to pursue a doctoral study or another graduate degree, our students have been successful in pursuing that. In terms of U.S. News and World Report, we are considered top 40, although I think this was from last year. I haven't looked at it recently, but we tend to be quite high in terms of best jobs. We were probably in the top 5 or top 10 a few years back. In terms of certification, students who graduate from our program are eligible for state certification, meaning that they are able to work in school systems. Now, Florida is unique in that if you have a specialist degree, you are eligible to have a private practice, but that's only if you have at least 3 more years of supervised experience under supervision of a school psychologist, whether certified or licensed. And so if you work in a school system after you graduate for 3 years and you're being supervised for licensure, um, that is definitely a possibility to have a license as well as a private practice upon completing those hours. Okay, great. Any questions so far? Again, feel free, and I have not really monitored the chat, but let me know if there are questions our faculty can answer too. So a little bit about our program or why consider our program. So we have about 73 credits in our program. We are considered an in-person program. The reason why we do that is that we do like to establish a community of learners. So I think cohorts do support each other. So we are operating more of a cohort model where students take courses together and provide a sense of community, as well as having mentors from like second years and interns. And I think it creates a good cohesive relationship. In terms of supervision, like some of our courses do require a level of supervision that's a little bit more intense, and that's because we want to make sure students are successful. So that is why we're more of an in-person program. A lot of the school psychology programs are in person. There are a handful that offer online, but we do offer a few online courses, but it's not the majority of our program. A plus is being a state university. You do not pay credits for internships, so we require 10 credit hours, but all that is waived during your internship year. As you've heard our faculty, we have a variety of interests, experiences, research opportunities. So I think we're strong because of that. And actually, our national association also have mentioned that too. So that's been a plus for our program. So if you have particular interest in early childhood, media, culture responsive practices, immigrant mental health, I think this would be a very good program for you. We are a state approved as well as nationally approved program up through 2029. And also there is some level of financial support. We'll talk about that. A lot of our students currently are being supported through grants. Unfortunately, one of them is being discontinued, but there have been some upcoming opportunities that they'll likely pursue in terms of continuing support. And also, I thought I saw Melissa, so she'll talk more about her School Psychology Student Association, which is our student-led group. Melissa, are you able to introduce yourself? I know you're probably driving, but
Hi, Dr. Pham, can you hear me?
yes, go ahead.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, everyone, that I don't have my camera on. I am currently stuck in traffic. But my name's Melissa. I'm a second year EDS student. I'm also president of our School Psychology Student Association. Dr. Pham, I don't know if you want me to get into that now or save my spiel for later, but it's great to see you all virtually.
Thanks, Melissa. Yeah, if you could talk maybe a little bit later, that's okay. Or do you feel I don't want to have you talk when you're driving?
No, I can talk a little bit later. That's fine.
Okay. Feel free to chime in if a certain time is better for you. But thanks, Melissa. Oh, I think there was a question. Are we able to work while completing this program? So generally the answer is yes, you can. It might mean that you might stay a bit longer in the program. So we do offer schedules for full-time students as well as part-time students. And so a majority of our students do work, but it also depends on how much you're devoting in terms of your work, whether you're working full-time or not. Some of our students are teachers in the school, and so many of them are able to complete the program in 3 or 4 years, depending on whether they have also previous coursework. But we generally don't recommend working full-time and enrolling full-time. So, but majority of our students do work, and maybe Melissa, actually, she is working, I think part-time. She's also been an instructor or adjunct, so she could probably talk more about that. But yes, students are able to work, but we also want to be, students need to be mindful about how that will impact their enrollment in the program. Great.
With that, Andy, I was also going to mention that most of the
Oh yeah.
courses are in the evenings,
Mhm.
but I do think it's important that students keep in mind internship, because for the internship year, my understanding is that they do have to be full-time in the schools. Is that correct?
Yes, that's a great point. And also we'll talk about practicum. So typically when students are at internship, they do have to take the year off or request a leave from their position if they're a teacher to complete the internship. Prior to internship, we're getting into the field experiences. Students are in practicum, which is 1 to 2 days a week in the schools. And so they do have to work with their employer, their teacher, principal, or their principal in order to request that time off. Thanks, Sarah. Let's see. So, sorry. Oh, was there another question? Oh, Brianna asked, our classes are available in the morning or are they mostly only in the evening? As Dr. Casualivo mentioned, they are in the evening. So we have catered a lot in terms of those who do work during the day. So all of our classes, particularly if they're in person, are evening courses. We actually had thought about offering a day course. That might be a future discussion, but yeah, we are more catering towards those who do work during the day. But we have not offered a morning course, at least since I've been here.
I just want to add to that. Part of the reason why that is that because we're trying to keep this cohort model and have everybody move through the same classes at the same time, if you're in the same cohort, even if only half of people are working during the day, we want to make sure that they're in the evening so that we can accommodate everybody rather than split people up.
Yeah. Great questions. You could see some of our graduate outcomes where they've been employed. I think this has been the past decade. So you could see various school districts and clinical settings, and also those who pursued doctoral studies. Oh, does the SCP program support some internship hours? For internship, no. So internship typically is within a school setting, unless it's part, some opportunities could be with clinical settings, but STP, which is the summer treatment program, has not been part of that. So we have had students that do hours with the STP as part of practicum during the summer, but it's not part of internship. Good question. All right. Well, we kind of talked about sort of skills or learned in the program, but because we have 73 credit hours, we do teach our students a variety of skills and knowledge, but you could see some of the areas of courses, which we kind of already talked about when describing the role of a school psychologist. So I'm going to skip that. And we have started to talk a little bit about fieldwork experiences. We kind of worked backwards. So we're internship and then field practicum. The first year, actually, I forgot to change this. So we're not going to call it an observation practicum. We're just going to call it an observation experience. The reason why we're doing that is it's really just shadowing. So it's not really a true practicum where you're working directly with kids. It's just shadowing. So it's really just for those who have not had that experience or exposure, maybe seeing how school psychologists work. It's just more shadowing experience in the first year, which is 4 days across the semester, or more days depending on the schedules of the supervisor. The second year is where you are doing more direct service, which is the field practicum. So it is across 2 semesters. So again, be mindful, particularly if you are working during the day, you do have to dedicate at least 1 day a week towards field practicum opportunities. For the most part, students have been successful in arranging that, but I know it can be, it requires a bit of planning, but it is a requirement prior to internship. Summer, there are some opportunities. STP, we have been able to coordinate some of that with summer treatment program. So, but we still require field practicum during the school year. So you can't just do summer as your entire practicum. And then as was mentioned, internship is 1,200 hours, full year, 5 days a week. Many of our internships are paid in the school system. Florida does have a rather standardized process. A lot of our second years are going through that right now in terms of applying. So it is an application process similar to like you're applying for a job, but we help prepare applications, interview process, and they find out in March. So, but we also do encourage students if they want to go outside of Florida. But because every state has their own process, usually the students would have to search on their own about if they're looking into sites outside of Florida. Oh, Unique had asked. Okay, so sorry. So let me clarify. So internships, we help prepare you for applications and in the interview process. Um, but typically the students would need to search for different sites if they're considering out of state. A lot of the sites like Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach, they're quite standard. And so a lot of our placements are currently in those districts. But students can search for different sites if they're considering outside of Florida. But it is a process, like an application process. For field practicum, as clinical coordinator, I do place you in for practicum, so it's a bit different. Great. All right, so let's continue. Oh, research experiences. So we have incorporated research experiences in terms of individualized, like directed study. We are changing that somewhat. We're trying to call it a research practicum, but we do want to make sure students have a statistics background, research background, but also there's just opportunities to work with faculty on various projects. They can also develop their individual projects. Maybe some of our faculty can share more about what they've also had their students contribute. Maybe Shale, do you want to share a little bit about some of the things you worked on with students?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've had students involved with me in a variety of different ways over the years as my research has kind of evolved. Students have been involved with collecting data of various kinds for projects that we're doing, whether that be interview projects or being involved in interventions and collecting data on those interventions. Just as some background, I study early childhood, especially the kind of home learning at home, but with digital tools. So media and screen media and how that impacts learning. And so students have been involved with me on those projects. Right now, I have a longitudinal study going on, so they're involved with collecting data from children from 18 months to 5 years on kind of their functioning at home, parent-child relationships, and then their school readiness as they approach the beginning of school as well. And so there's usually a variety of opportunities to contribute, including in writing papers, presenting at conferences, whatever is interesting to students, they can get involved with. So it's a great opportunity, I think, to see kind of like how knowledge is made on the other side of things, right? So the best practices that you will be working with in schools, it's a good idea to understand how research works, to understand how we know what those best practices are, right? And so that's one of the reasons that we encourage students and require students to be involved in a bit of the research process. We're not expecting you to do a dissertation or anything like that, but to be involved in to some extent, and some students are very much involved and end up doing independent projects as well.
Great, thanks. I know, Martha, if you want to share a little bit more about some of the work you've done.
Um, Again, I apologize because I'm driving.
Oh,
I hope you can hear me. I don't want to be very repetitive with what Dr. Shell Griffith just said because she said it very nicely and very well. But it's about my work has involved for many years the study of early learning, as I said, early social learning, in particular mother-infant and caregiver-infant interactions and how they develop. So I use a lot of single subject design and also early interventions and assessments. I have been incorporating psychological and developmental assessments and with early. When I say early, I mean as early as 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 1 year, and a year and a half. So what we are looking right now, we have a large program going on with early language and early the development of consonants and vowels and how we shape those particular sounds and how modeling and reinforcement, truly social reinforcement, including the smiles and caregivers' touch, and how do they promote the development of language. And in the process, we work with children at risk of autism, and we call them at risk because they have siblings that they have already been diagnosed with autism. And also, I have recently completed a short project with children with Down syndrome. So this is basically what I'm doing right now. And in the past, I have looked at attachment problems and also children of depressed mothers, postpartum depression. So I can go on and on, but I don't want to take the time for me. But I hope you get the idea that we, each of us, each of the faculty specializes in different areas of research and learning, and like Dr. Griffith said, knowledge-based approach. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, Dr. Pelaez. And I think, as Dr. Griffin mentioned, there are definitely opportunities to present at conferences. We had a dozen students, well, some of them presented, but a dozen attended our state association conference a couple of weeks ago. So, and almost every student has shared a lot of very good, positive things about attending conferences. So we definitely encourage that. And also, some of our students have published manuscripts in journals, so that's also very exciting. So there are definitely opportunities for that. I think, oh, was there a question? Let's see. Oh, Romina had asked about the difference between a master's and EDS. When you finish, how would I explain the degree? Okay, so we describe the EDS as between a master's and a doctorate degree. Unless they're in education, yeah, not many people would know what the EDS, it stands for Education Specialist. And so for many, if not all school psych programs, the minimum is a education specialist degree. We do not offer a master's as part of the program, unfortunately, but the master's for it's not typically the minimum requirement. There are some sort of older programs that offer a master's, but that is mostly where their credit hour requirements are equivalent to the EDS. But yeah, the education specialist is more of an advanced degree beyond a master's, if that helps, Ramina. Oh, your next part, oh, okay. Well, if you decide not to be a school psychologist, it may depend on what career you might uh, change to. But I think the school psychologist, the ed specialist degree provides you with a good skill set in terms of understanding how to gather data about a student, interventions. Dr. Pelaez teaches our single subject design course, so that helps with understanding how to use data in terms of monitoring and intervention effectiveness. So I think there are skills that you'll learn, even if you may not decide to be a school psychologist, that you could transfer to other education disciplines or psychology disciplines. I don't know if others want to answer that. That's an interesting question. Okay, you're welcome. Okay, again, feel free to ask questions. Otherwise, admissions. So a lot of this is on our webpage, but we can definitely elaborate. Not much has changed, I think, for a good amount of time. We are a fall-only admission. So as we talked about, we're a cohort model, meaning that a lot of our students take the same classes. We do one cohort per year. So that's why we do only fall admissions. Our deadline is January 15. So that is coming up in a few months. We do have our process in terms of review our applications. We do hold interviews, so a select number after we review the applications would be invited for an interview. We haven't really talked about in our program the modality. As you probably guessed, the past few years since COVID, we had to hold our interviews virtually. So we likely will continue with that. We'll have to confirm with our faculty, but that is typically held mid-February, and then we tend to make decisions shortly after. You could see some of our requirements, GPA. You do not require GRE or any tests, although if you'd like to submit exam scores, that is up to you, but they are not required. The application statement or letter of intent, there are questions posted on our webpage to help sort of guide if you're not sure how to address that. So there are that would be an opportunity for you to share more about yourself, why you're interested in the program, what your goals are. It's also a place where if you find there may be certain weaknesses in your application, maybe if your GPA is not as high as you'd like, you could explain why would be some steps you would take in order to improve on that, or other areas that might offset a weakness. So that can be a good way to explain that. Letters of recommendation, we require 3 letters. Preference would be from those who do know about your academics, so that would typically be faculty. But if those who have not been in school for a while, that is okay. Employers would be fine. But if possible, someone who can attest to your likelihood of success in a graduate program would be helpful. Resume, your CV, and also we do require a background or foundation in psychology. So if you're a psychology major, yes, you've satisfied the 15 credit hours, or you could take courses non-degree if you need to satisfy that if you're an education major or non-psychology major. Any questions? I do see some cons, which I think have been answered. Great. Awesome. Thanks for sharing the link. All right, financial supports. So let's see. I'm trying to see how we can frame this. We have supported students through grants as well as assistantships. We'll have a little bit more information about financial opportunities later on, but there will at least be a few assistantships. I don't know if Dr. Griffith, if you have any assistantships. I will have one, and that actually is to replace Kendall. I think we'll be finishing. But yeah, there will be a limited number, but I can't really guarantee the number yet. Otherwise, we are applying for grants. We won't necessarily find out until January about that. That would be for those who are interested in working Miami-Dade schools. But again, we have a few assistantships. Actually, we have several on assistantships now, either working with faculty on research projects or working the dean's office, accreditation. So I often get postings of assistantship, so we'll definitely distribute. But you can see some of the benefits of the assistantships. The only limitation, well, not only, but one of the downsides is that you cannot work outside of a GA ship. So just be mindful of that. So Ramina had asked, 3 semesters left to be able to apply. I'm getting a bachelor's in psych. Are there any classes I might need to take that are currently not on my track to get into this program? Well, we look at the application as a whole, so it sounds like you've satisfied the psychology credit hours, unless maybe I'm misunderstanding your question, Ramina.
I think she might be asking, I know that you had mentioned statistics is the requirement, but most psychology, the bachelor's require that you take statistics. So there's not, I know some programs, some master's programs I've heard that they require, that you have taken like specific courses like abnormal psychology, or that you have taken like test and measurement, but we don't necessarily have those specifics, right? As long as it's psychology, the statistic. I think that that's probably where she's asking.
Right. So yeah, so psychology courses, I think any psychology course would be fine. We do recommend or require either a statistics or research methods course. So that would be where we would want to see one or the other, statistics or research methods. Typically, if you're a psych major, you would have completed one of those. Does that help, Ramina?
And then Ramina's also asking about education classes. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it can definitely help. It's not required, but yeah, we've had students that have taken undergrad education courses. Early childhood would be good. Instructional strategies, behavior management.
If you look as well in our program manual, you'll see that there are some education courses that are required as part of our program. So they are kind of standard education courses that students have to take in addition to the school psychology subject courses. If you take them before you come, then you don't need to take them while you're here. So if you have the I don't know, impulse or feeling to take an education course, you might want to take a glance at the program handbook to see what kinds of courses will then, they're like reading, courses in reading and things like that that you will need to take either before you come or while you're here. But it's not a problem if you don't have them before you enter. Many students don't, and they just take them as part of the program.
Yes. Does that help, Ramita? Yeah, early childhood courses, we don't have early childhood courses in our program, but it's definitely a helpful background. Great. Awesome. Okay.
Well, we
Great.
do have a child development. I'm sorry, interrupting.
Yeah,
That
go ahead.
does cover the early periods, even from prenatal, postnatal,
Mhm.
early childhood, all the way to toddlers. So, but I don't know if that's what you're talking about electives now.
I think she was just talking about requirements rather than electives. So I think the answer is we just have requirements for general psychology courses and statistics or research methods. Anything else would just be a bonus and might save you some time when you're here.
Mhm.
Um,
Great. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions? Okay. Well, I'm going to let Melissa share more about this student organization. I think I just posted like typical questions. But otherwise, I do want to make sure Melissa has an opportunity to share about the SPSA. Do you have some time right now, Melissa?
Yeah, this is perfect. So SPSA is our School Psychology Student Association. It does consist of all of the graduate students in the program. So if you get into the program, you're kind of automatically applied. But it's a really great opportunity not only for networking and collaborating with fellow graduate students, like Dr. Pham had mentioned. I think about 12 of us went to a conference last or this month, and a few of us presented there and were really able to connect. But it's also been a great opportunity for professional development. A goal, especially this year, has been how can we enrich our graduate student experience? So that's included, CV workshops. It's included us trying to put together proposals for funding for suicide gatekeeper trainings. All the things that we can do to respond to the needs of our graduate students. What are we interested in? What would we like to gain experience in and add to our resume before applying for internships? So SPSA has been a great opportunity for that as well. It's very collaborative, supportive. It's been a great space and a safe space for graduate students to discuss kind of these changes in education and mental health. So yeah, in general, if you're in the program, you're able to join SPSA and kind of contribute to these different opportunities for growth.
And
Great. Thank you.
Melissa, I was wondering if you can share. I think I saw, I'm new to the program, so I went to Instagram this weekend and said that you guys have an Instagram page. And it
Yes.
seemed like you had a social where you guys were having fun over the weekend. I
Yeah.
think this will be a good time to share that Instagram page and talk that you can also, like make new friends through that association.
Yeah, that is a great point. Let me send that to everyone. We do have an Instagram page, FIU SPSA, if you guys want to follow us. But we do post some of our events there. And like I mentioned, we try to have a mix of events. We're doing beach cleanups, kind of variety of things, socials as well. Next week, we have National School Psychology Week. So we're getting together to write thank you letters to our practicum supervisors. So it's really, a great opportunity to be able to connect with your cohort. The cohorts are relatively small. I think we have about 11 or 12 in my cohort. And when you go through classes 3, 4 times a week for a couple semesters, you get really close. So it's a good opportunity to connect with not only your cohort, but the cohort above you and kind of learn from them as well.
Thanks, Melissa. Any questions for Melissa? Okay, but yeah, make sure, what is it, you follow or like in terms of the Instagram. I don't know what you do with Instagram. I do need to brush up on that. But yes, feel free to connect with Melissa if you're interested. And actually, if you're a student at FIU, that is, no, you can definitely join SPSA even if you're not in the program. So great,
Yes, if you're a student at FIU, you can find us on Panther Connect and join and get a head start.
great. I don't think I have much else. But yeah, if there are any questions, feel free to ask. We definitely have some time. I think maybe some of you have joined our mailing lists. Otherwise, you're welcome to scan the QR code if you want to join. We do have a program email. Otherwise, Kendall likely already has your information to be registered. Questions? Oh, okay. I see a few. What is the acceptance rate of this program? The cohorts are small, so I'm wondering how many students apply. Okay, great question. So it varies each year, and I do monitor some of this, but I think last year we had about 40 applications and we admitted 18, and I think 11 to 12 accepted. But we have applications that range from 40 to 60. But we do try to keep our cohort small, as Melissa mentioned, just because we like to provide that sort of individualized support. And we try to keep our cohorts between 12 to 15. We might admit a little bit more maybe this year, but also depends on funding as well, which I'm sure students are probably wondering about when deciding on coming to our program. Well, speaking of funding, Winnie asked, can you explain what the stipend is? So a stipend for graduate assistantship would be you're working 20 hours a week and then you are getting paid. And this is an annual stipend. So it's 12 months. Right now, the stipend for EDS students is between 25 to 27,000. Does that help, Monique? Let's see, Brianna asked, oh, a lot of questions. I have an odd, non-traditional issue. And yeah, you're welcome to ask separately. I mean, I think some of our faculty will still stay on after this meeting, so we can definitely talk. Any tips? I'm going to ask our faculty this. Any tips on making our application stand out?
think
I
one of,
would say, sorry.
go ahead, go ahead,
No,
Martha.
no, 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 no. I was just going to comment that if you could get letters of recommendation from, in particular, when I look at applications, I'm very interested in experience with other professors, perhaps doing research or practicum or job-related work to the program. I'm very interested in letters of support. That's my only tip I could say. I mean, there are many other things, I'm sure, but others can speak to that.
I was going to say one of the things that I think we look for is that um, the applicant is aware of what school psychology is and has a plan for life, right? Like that this is a purpose-driven application, as in I want to do something and this is how I'm going to get there. And so that's kind of the first read that I will give it is do you know why you want to study school psychology and does it make sense for what it is that you want for your future, right? Um, so Abigail was asking if how much weight clinical or just as part of your experiences that you've had. It's not required. Just like research experiences, they are not required, but if you have them and you've been involved in some way, then we definitely want to know about it. I would say in terms of background like that, we don't have requirements. It's just different students will come in with different backgrounds and different experiences, and that's good. We like those that diversity in our cohorts.
I agree with everyone.
It
Great question.
was just, Andy, there was a follow-up from Monique about tuition. Just explaining again about the assistantships. The
Oh,
assistantships have two parts to them. There's a tuition waiver and then a stipend. So you get two benefits from the assistantship. One is that you get 9 credits every fall and spring and 6 credits in the summer waived, right? So that you get those free. You need to pay for any additional credits, but those are the credits that you get free. And then on top of that, for your 20 hours of work a week, you get this stipend, which is about 26K a year, right? So that's two separate things. So other than the extra tuition over the waiver, you wouldn't necessarily be using your stipend for tuition, if that makes sense.
great. You are welcome. Any other questions? Still have a few minutes. Okay. Oh yeah, some of you might have been at SciCon. Last year at SciCon, there was a grant mention. Yes. So yeah, Project Dig. That's the grant I was talking about, which unfortunately is ending the end of this year. Sorry, December 31st. So right now we're not offering Project Dig. We are working on other opportunities, but right now we can't say if we're able to get additional funding related to that yet. But we are working on it. If that is not an option because I'm working, what is tuition like? Yeah, a lot of that. So we did include information about costs in the program. It is in the handbook. It's $455.64 per credit hour. So it's equivalent to, if you're looking at 60 credit hours, remember tuition for internship is waived. So it's about 27,000 for the program. That does include, sorry, that does not include other fees, which is usually about $200 per semester. But hopefully that gives you a sense of the tuition. But we are working our best to try to provide support for students. It's just that we don't have as much information right now, but we'll have a better idea hopefully in the next couple months. Let's see. Sorry. Oh, yeah. Thanks, Melissa. Any other questions? But yes, so the handbook link that Kendall is providing in the chat, that's last year's link. So we do update the handbook each year, so there might be some new information. But otherwise, we're more than happy to send you our current handbook, which is for the first year cohort, 25-26 year. These are great questions. I appreciate it. Anything else? Questions? All right. Well, last thing, I mean, we hope that school psychology is the right program for you. As Dr. Griffith mentioned, we do want to make sure that you know what school psychologists do. It can be a bit of a nebulous field, but there are resources which I can share in the chat. But the National Association, actually, I don't have the link. Dr. Casarolio or Dr. Griffith, can you provide the NAS link, or that might be helpful. But we do want to make sure that you know what school psychologists do and that this is the right path for you. But we're also happy to share other opportunities if maybe school psychology is not the right program. And so we do offer, and these are just related careers or related degrees. We do offer an online research design analysis program. I do teach one course in that, but you probably saw Dr. Tiberio Garza. He's a faculty for that program. We do offer a master's in school counseling, as well as master's in special education, as well as a doctoral program. Although this is in a different department, it's within our School of Education, PhD in Teaching and Learning. Some of our graduates have pursued PhD in Teaching and Learning, particularly in special education. Thanks, Shale. All right, but yeah, again, these are just a few. Sorry, the Department of Psychology does offer a PhD in clinical science, which is clinical psychology, focused on child and adolescents. So that's another opportunity as well. Yes, we'll still stay on. Everyone types faster. Yes. I can't barely keep up, but these are great questions, so feel free to stay on. Otherwise, we'll end the recording soon, but we just want to make sure if people want to ask questions in the chat, or feel free to speak as well. All right, we'll stop the recording.